After crossing into Canaan, Abraham set up 2 altars as he journeyed southwards. Abraham had a powerful revelation from God in Shechem when the Lord gave his assurance, "To your descendants I will give this land." Genesis 12:7. In response, Abraham built his first altar in Shechem. It was an altar of thanksgiving for the land of Canaan. Moving further south, Abraham settled down between Ai and Bethel and set up the second altar. We learned that it was on this altar Abraham called on the name of the Lord. Genesis 12:8. It was an altar of witness to the only one true God against the idols of Canaan. These altars were the high points of Abraham's journey in Canaan. Then came the test of Abraham's faith. We read, Abraham journeyed going in still toward the south. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to dwell there. For the famine was severe in the land. Genesis 12:9-10. That would certainly be a test of faith in God's provision. But instead of trusting God for provision, Abraham decided to flee to Egypt. It appeared that he did not consult the Lord at all. Faith gave way to fear. Fear for lack of food. Fear turned Abraham away from God as his provider. Instead, Abraham turned to Egypt as his provider. As he approached Egypt, fear raised its ugly head again. He realized that Sarai was a woman of beautiful countenance. Genesis 12:11. In those days, beautiful women could end up in the harem of Pharaoh. And if this happened to Sarai, Abraham would likely be killed so that Pharaoh could claim his wife as his concubine. Genesis 12:11-12. When God called Abraham to embark on his journey to Canaan, he was 75. Sarai, being 10 years his junior, was 65. And so we ask, how could an elderly lady be attracted by Pharaoh as Abraham had claimed? The reason was simple. People had long lifespans in those days. Abraham died at the age of 175 and Sarai at the age of 127. As such, the aging process was much slower, and Sarai could in all probability still look like an attractive lady. When faith gave way to fear, not only did Abraham turn to Egypt away from God, he turned to himself, trusting his own wisdom. We read, "Please say you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that I may live because of you." Genesis 12:13. It was a half-truth though. We learned later that Sarai was actually Abraham's half-sister. Genesis 20:12. She was the daughter of another wife of his father Terah. We see here Abraham not only feared starvation in Canaan, he feared for his life as well. It didn't seem to matter much to Abraham that Sarai was taken into Pharaoh's harem. Genesis 12:15. As long as his life was preserved. "That I may live because of you." Genesis 12:13. Nevertheless, Abraham received the worldly rewards of Egypt. He was treated well by Pharaoh, and he received lavish gifts of livestock and servants. Genesis 12:16. Could such immense wealth ever compensate for the potential loss of his wife? Wasn't this a heavy price to pay when faith gave way to fear? It appeared that Abraham went deeper into trouble. But God had enough of all this nonsense. We read, "But the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai." Genesis 12:17. That awoke Pharaoh to the realization that Sarai was Abraham's wife. Abraham then received a stern and humiliating rebuke from Pharaoh for tricking him, and was soon kicked out of Egypt. Genesis 12:18-20. Interestingly, Pharaoh did not ask for the return of all the lavish gifts he had given to Abraham. After all, the gifts were given in appreciation and compensation for Sarai entering the harem. Pharaoh had every right to take back all his gifts, since God forbade him to have Sarai. We see a very unique and perhaps a little comical way how the grace of God worked. Grace in intervening to save the honor and dignity of Sarai, and grace in enabling Abraham to live with the bounty of Egypt. Abraham was very rich in livestock, in silver and gold. Genesis 13:2. It is true to say that every trial of life can either draw us to God or draw us away from God. Abraham could have experienced the hand of God in a more intimate way in Canaan than the hand of God on him in Egypt, where his reputation was tarnished. The altar of witness before the Canaanites to the one true God would not carry much weight when his faith gave way to fear. Can this be true of us?